think we're 4 minutes past 4. It's about time we start. More than that, it's all about time today. Please welcome Guido from Monday.com. Guido is our host today and will later introduce Lucas for the presentation and the demo. Guido, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Thanks, Gert-Jan. And hello, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us in this webinar. We'll spend the time that we have here to talk about, first of all, time tracking in Monday.com, and more specifically, the app that Avizii has developed, specifically for this use case called Tracket. Tracket was developed after identifying a need with many of our customers. And for those of you who are not too familiar with Tracket yet, in short, it is a very flexible time tracking solution that allows you to easily log hours on your items and your sub-items in Monday.com. So before we start, I'll quickly walk you through the agenda that we have today. So Lucas and I will start by briefly sharing a short introduction about ourselves, about our background, what we do and where we're from. Then I will start to explain, first of all, why Monday.com's customers would want to log time in general, and also provide some more insight into the challenges that they might have with logging time. Lucas will then dive deeper into the Tracket solution. He'll show us some real-life use cases, a quick demo, and he'll talk a bit about what's next to come on the Tracket roadmap. Then at the end, as Gert-Jan mentioned already, we'll have some time for questions. If during the webinar any questions come to mind, please feel free to ask them in the Q&A section, and we'll do our best to answer them. So to start off with a quick bit of background about myself. So my name is Guido. I lead Monday.com's partnerships in the Benelux. I joined Monday.com early this year, and before coming over to Monday, I worked for Salesforce. I'm originally from the Netherlands. I moved to London roughly 5 years ago now, where I now live with my wife and my 2-year-old daughter. And then, let's let Lucas introduce himself as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lucas van Paridon. I'm from Avizii Apps, and some of you already know me. I've given some demos, so I saw some familiar names. Nice to see you again. Happy that you could make it to the webinar. My main focus at Avizii Apps is in Monday.com, where Tracket is our main flagship, and I'm usually the person that gives the live demos and helps our clients to get started with Tracket and advise them on how to use it. This is actually my first official webinar, so I'm excited to share with you some of the features we have with Tracket and tell you all about it.
Perfect. All right, so to tell you a little bit more about Avizii and Avizii Apps in general. So next to Avizii being a great Monday channel partner to work with and a reseller of Monday.com, they're also an outstanding development company. They have many talented consultants and developers. As you can already see on the slide here, they have developed multiple apps, and specifically for Monday.com, Trackit's been a great success story. Many of our customers are using it since the app was launched last year in 2021. So yeah, maybe Lucas wants to share some more insight on this as well.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you've already shared some of the main things that we do here at Avizii Apps. We are a certified Monday.com partner, meaning we also provide Monday consultancy. And at Avizii Apps, we develop apps that fill gaps. That's our slogan. So we look at existing ecosystems, figure out what's missing, and we develop a solution for it to fill that gap. Now, it's our aim to develop high quality software, and we maintain high security standards. As you can see here in this sheet, we are ISO certified, have an SOC 2 declaration, and are maintain GDPR standards at all times. That's what we find important. So your data is in good hands with us. Lastly, we have 7 Atlassian apps as well, and currently 4 Monday apps. And Tracket, well, it's one of the biggest apps in the for Monday.com that we have. And this webinar is all about it. So before we dive into Tracket, well, why log time in the first place? And Guido will share you more about this.
Yeah, perfect. So now you know a little bit about who we are, what Avisi Apps does in general. Let me dive in and discuss why, as a company, you'd want to log time in the first place. So time tracking is a topic that, of course, many companies are familiar with. You can think about examples such as projects, keeping track of how much time employees spend on a specific project or a part of a project, or companies that bill their customers based on hours that they spend with their customers, with their consultants. Some of the most common benefits, of course, with logging time are, for example, it will provide valuable insights into time spent and therefore the costs for specific projects or specific tasks. Time tracking can help optimize projects by making sure that the relevant people work on the right tasks at the right time. It can help companies, of course, to stay on track of initiatives. By using time tracking, as a customer, you're able to log and manage time and able to improve your planning processes and make sure that you plan in the most efficient way possible. And maybe a final key benefit for many, of course, is also to reduce and optimize costs by, again, making sure that you have the right people work on the right tasks at the right time. Then, with all these benefits, tracking time, of course, sounds great. This brings me to the challenges that some of our customers face with logging time in Monday.com. In my opinion, the main challenge that they face is Monday.com does not offer, of course, a complete timekeeping solution that's in line with more of the advanced use cases and expectations of these more advanced customers. And it leads to some customers having to use third-party software to track time rather than including this in Monday.com. Or sometimes, for example, they would not log or track their time at all. Of course, this is ineffective and also an inefficient way of working. And as our aim with Monday.com is to offer our customers a complete and central solution where they can manage all their work, this is kind of where Tracket comes in. So some of the key benefits that Tracket offers to tackle the challenges that I just mentioned are, for example, to allow time tracking with all users in an organization, to ensure that time tracking is accurate, to get a complete overview of time logged and also to provide insights on this. Furthermore, to provide a scalable and a manageable way to track time. And finally, a very important one as well, to be able to push these work entries to billing software and make it as automatic as possible. All right, I will stop here and I'll hand it over to Lucas, who will tell you a bit more detail about the solution and what it looks like.
Right. So Guido already shared why time tracking is important and what's currently missing within Monday. And that gap we fill with Tracket. Now, Tracket is a complete timekeeping solution and it's seamlessly integrated with Monday.com, meaning you're able to log time directly on Monday.com items and projects. It's very well scalable. We have clients that are starting to use Tracket with 5 users all the way up to 800 users, and you can make time entries with multiple people. And it works well with how big your organization is. Now, it's easy to create work logs, and it's also very simple to use. We've got an UX designer that makes sure that everything is user-friendly. There's an approval functionality built in as well, and this ensures that the work logs are accurate and correctly. So should you bill your clients on an hourly rate, or just want to make sure that the information you see is correct, there's an approval functionality for that. Then there's also ways to generate insightful reports, helping you to optimize your projects, become better at planning future projects, and basically getting insight in where your time is being spent on. And then lastly, like Guido mentioned, it is possible to connect Tracket with third-party software as well. So this automates the process of tracking time and pushing it to your billing software and making this more efficient. So before we show you how Trackit works, we figured it'd be good to have a client that shares with you their experience about Trackit, and that will illustrate how Trackit might benefit you. So here is Milieu, and it's a law and policy firm, and they have shared their experiences with Trackit in this video. Here, Rachel Dempsey and Imbri Thomas will tell you a bit more about their experiences with Trackit. So let's have a look at that.
Rachel, why do we use Trackit? We need a mechanism to be able to track people's time down to a task level on every project so that we can see how much time has been spent and then better plan and better budget our future projects using the past time. We also like people to be able to have their timesheets in one place on one page. Monday didn't offer that functionality, so we looked for an add-on. That's when somebody recommended Trackit to us. So we implemented it about 6 months ago. We've been using it ever since, and it does everything that we need.
Yes, I like Tracket a lot. It's very simple. It has been simplified. When you enter your time, everything is very clearly put. And I like the new functionality in my report that they've just recently implemented. We are all now able to see what we have done in the past month in just one page. What function do you like the most in Tracket?
I also very much like my reports. It's also very useful for our clients. Sometimes we need to be able to tell our clients very quickly how much time we spent on a specific project in a specific time period, and now people can download that themselves quickly and efficiently. But the other thing that I really like as well is being able to download all the data for everybody out of the timesheets into an Excel spreadsheet for a given period of time, and then I can quickly look at how much time people have been spending in the month. And I can see who's been doing a lot of overtime and things like that. It's super useful.
Yes, and also I cannot get enough of the Tracket, the Avis team. They've always been very helpful, very supportive. Whenever we needed them, they've always been there listening to us, trying to implement all our ideas. So I cannot wait to see the roadmap ahead and what comes on our way.
I completely agree.
All right, amazing. Well, thanks, Milieu, for sharing that with us. And they've already uncovered some of the Trackit functionality that is built in. And what is next on our roadmap? Well, we'll get back to that later. But first, let's show you how Trackit is functioning at the moment and what is already in place. Now, we'll do this based on a use case. And well, meet Growth Agency. It's a marketing and advertising agency with about 60 employees, and they like to manage their projects for different customers in Monday.com. Time tracking is essential for them for client billing and internal optimization. And we've pre-recorded a demo which illustrates how they use time tracking within Monday with Trackit, and it shows you exactly how Trackit works. So let's look at that video. Here's how Growth Agency tracks their time in Monday.com with Trackit. Team members can log time in two ways: directly on an item itself with the item view, or in their personal timesheet overview. Let's start at the item level. If you click on an item, Trackit Log Time directly opens up. Here you can make time entries, either directly on the item or on a sub-item. Select the date, category, the amount of hours you've worked, and here you can differentiate between billable hours and normal hours. A description is optional. Once you log the time, it will show up at the overview of the item right here, and this also tells us the total hours that have been logged on this specific item. It's also possible to use a manual time tracker. So Growth Agency sometimes wants to know very specific, to the minute, how much time is being spent on a task. And there they use the manual time tracker for.
In the item bar itself, we can see the total effort spent compared to the planned effort. And this is how growth agency knows if they're still on track with their projects and the related tasks, thus optimizing their projects. Let's move on to the timesheet overview. Here's a board time tracking, where the timesheet overview has been installed. This is the personal timesheet of each and every team member. Each team member has access to their personal timesheet, and here they can see the total hours they have logged in this week compared to their capacity for the week. Time entries on all items are displayed here, together with the categories and the amount of hours. New time entries can quickly be made by clicking on the time slot and adding the hours. You can also change existing ones. If an item is still missing that you haven't logged time on, you can use the plus button right here and select an item from any board that is available to you. We've also got suggested combinations, which makes it even easier. Once a week is done, last week, for example, the team member can submit his or her timesheet to the approver. As an approver, meaning you are the team admin, you have extra rights within Tracket. Here we have the team section. And we see approvals. Now, this is a built-in feature within Tracket. And here the team admin can approve the submitted timesheets. As we can see, both Bas and Lucas submitted their timesheet last week. Now, the approver can view it, approve it, and reject it, and add a note why it's rejected. This ensures the right hours have been logged and billing is going accurately and well. As a team admin, you have also access to timesheets, where you can see each and every timesheet of all the team members within your team. This is Danielle, for example, and she's in design. She logged these hours in the last week. With reports, growth agency creates meaningful and insightful reports in the hours they have worked. This helps them to optimize their projects, bill their clients the right hours, and become better at planning future projects. Here we see an overview of all the hours each team member has worked throughout the week. And we can also get insight in the categories, for example, or the items. Now, this gives us a lot of information. Every item is displayed with the related hours that have been logged. So we added a group by feature. And this is how growth agency uses the reporting functionality themselves, as this gives a better overview. I'll show you what I mean. So if we group by board, we can then see all the boards that have been logged time on together with the items. Growth agency uses their boards, and each board represents a project. So here they know how many hours have been spent on each and every project. Now, there are a lot of variables available, and you can add multiple groups, even up to 3 layers. So this gives you all the insight you need to become better at planning projects, etc. There's also a filter option available, allowing you to get very specific with your search. Then this is just a weekly overview. Now, it's also possible to have a monthly overview or a quarterly, even for a year. Let's see how a monthly overview looks like. This gives us all the days and the related hours, and we can scroll through it. Now, this can be a bit overwhelming, so we've added display options. And with display options, you can select a week as a column, and that will give a much more clearer overview of the month. Growth agency then exports this report to Excel with the export functionality and uses this to share it with clients or internally during meetings and team discussions. Lastly, we have admin functionalities available that help you to improve your overall experience with Tracket. In fields, you can set up which fields are required to fill out when making a time entry and add the categories, like I added to the first time entry I made. You can make these categories yourself, right here. Growth agency made them based on their departments, but you could basically add categories for anything you like to get insight in. In work schedules, you can add a holiday schedule, showing the public holidays in your region directly in your timesheet. And with exports, there's a complete export functionality available, pushing all time entries to an Excel. Lastly, there's also an API available. So should you want to automate the process of extracting Trackit's time entries to third-party software, like your billing software, for example, this is possible. And this is actually a functionality Growth Agency uses to make everything run smoothly, efficient, and effective. Well, this is in short how Growth Agency uses Tracket to keep track of time in Monday.com. It ensures they stay productive, build their clients the right hours, and become better at planning future projects. Thank you for watching.
All right, so hopefully you got from this video how Trackit works and what it can do for you as an organization. And like mentioned before, this is just an example of a company using Trackit, but basically you can use it with any type of organization you have. So it's not just for marketing and advertising agencies, but also for a software company, for example, or any industry you're in. Well, let's have a look at what's coming up. So this already covered how Trackit is currently looking, but we are constantly developing and evolving the application based on customer feedback. So should you see something that you think is missing or can be done better, we love to hear from you and use that feedback to improve on the application. So what's next? Well, we have dashboard widgets coming up. So that's a dashboard functionality which allows you to create visuals, and with those visuals, give more insight in where your time has been spent on. You can get the same information from reports, for example, but then in a visual. So say you want to see how your team is currently performing or how your projects, if your projects are still on track, you can make charts for that and even differentiate between billable hours and non-billable hours, show up different team members, and those stats will be live. So it will give you the exact amount of time that's already been spent. Well, then this we've already covered why time tracking is important, how you can track time with Trackit in Monday.com. So I suggest you start the free trial, which is available to you in the marketplace. And you can try Trackit out yourself, see how it works for you, and test it with a couple people. There are also onboarding sessions available to book, and every one of you that registered will receive an email with some useful links to get started with Trackit. And there you can book an onboarding session. And during that session, you can get specific guidance with Trackit in your situation and in your use case. So make sure to register if you haven't already. There's a link in the chat where you can still do so. And well, perhaps we'll meet again during the onboarding session. So make sure to start the trial. So now it's time for Q&A. Some questions have been came in, and Guido will read these questions and will answer these for you right here live. Now, should we run out of time, and if there is no more time to answer the remaining questions, please send them to us via email, and we'll personally get back to you.
Great, thanks, Lucas. So I'm just going to walk through the questions that have come in because these might be also questions that are on the minds of others. So first one came in from Heather, asking if users are able to download their time from multiple boards into one spreadsheet that then calculates their cumulative time over the course of 1 week. If you want to take that.
Right, so combine time from different boards and have it in one overview, even downloading it. Well, it is possible to combine the Tracket hours that have been logged on items from different boards. A couple ways to go about this. The first way is I would recommend using the reports functionality for this. So the reporting functionality pulls all the time entries made from every board and shows it in reports. And there you can export it, and this should give you an overview of those hours. Now it's also possible to use the item bar itself, so the integration which shows the hours of Tracket on the item itself there, and you could combine those hours with and link the different boards and display those hours somewhere as well. But the best way to go about this is through the reporting functionality, I reckon.
Perfect. All right. So another question also from Heather. Heather asked, are you also able to silo individual users' time? So you could download one individual's at a time, cumulative time across all boards in 1 week. Oh, sorry, I'm just repeating the same one, aren't I? Or is this not the one that we just discussed? I'm getting confused now, Heather. Let me double check. Are you also able to silo individual users' time so you could download one individual's cumulative time across all boards in one? Exactly.
Yeah, great question. So that's possible. So one thing that Milieu actually mentioned in the testimonial is that team members have access to my reports, and that allows you to generate a report for an individual, and you can export that as well. And team admins also have access to the hours logged by each team member. With reports, they can filter on each team member and see how much time they spend on each board, each project and task.
Perfect. Another one from Philip. Philip, can we get help setting up Monday.com with Tracket?
Definitely, absolutely. So we have we're a Monday.com partner, and we also have consultancy available. So should you need help with structuring your Monday instance, help with the workflows and everything, please reach out to us and we'll connect you to one of our colleagues of consultancy. And we work closely together with them, so we can figure out a solution that works well for you. So within Monday and in relation to Tracket.
Perfect. Maybe a final question to quickly cover from Lydia. If you can tell us anything about the pricing.
Yes, absolutely. So there's a pricing model available in our documentation, and there are different tiers of users that you can use Tracket with. So it gets cheaper the more users you have, and per January we're switching over to Monday monetization. So we made sure you all have a free trial up to January the 5th, I believe, and then the new pricing model comes into play, and we can share that with you. But we'll refer to we'll put it in the chat actually, the pricing a link to the pricing table, so you can check out what the prices are yourself. It depends on how big your organization is and how many people you want to use Tracket with.
Oh, maybe to follow up on this one while we're on the topic, Lydia has asked if we are saying with that if pricing is going up in January.
Yes, there will be some increases in pricing as we are constantly developing Tracket and working on it. We have quite some major changes coming up, or upgrades coming up, basically in 2023. So just to make sure we are able to do so, there will be some slight increases in prices.
All right, thank you. I think that was everything for the questions. Again, thank you, everyone. Definitely, if there's any more questions, please feel free to follow up with any of us. I'll hand it over to Gert-Jan, maybe if you want to say a final word, but thanks everyone for joining.
Sure, great. We stayed well within time. That's always good. If there's any questions, if you're maybe watching the recording, please send them to tracket@avisiapps.com. That is tracket@avisiapps.com, and we'll do our best to answer all your questions. Guido, thanks for the introduction and being a great host for today's webinar. Lucas, thanks for presenting, and thanks to all of you for watching and taking the time today. We hope to give you back that time and turn time into something of value. Have a great day.
Thanks for having us. Have a great day. Bye.